Welcome to the next edition of Missing the Point. I am Hollywood Ray Sean Buchanan with my guy, DK Sizzle. This is your first time listening to us. We thank you for tuning in. You can find us on all streaming platforms. Tonight, we're talking all things Celtics. Yes, it is the off season, but there's still some things that have went down between with Jason and Jalen. The new addition, Kristaps Porziņģis, and then we'll end with the Celtics schedule, because the schedule release came out around this time last week as we record this on August 23rd. So, DK, how you doing tonight, man?
Good, man. Good. I'm really feeling this sports drought. I need my weekends chock full of all the major sports. There's just nothing fucking on right now. I was watching the Women's World Cup. I'm in the Premier League's back. I'm watching that, but I need NFL to start up, because looking down the pipe, wait until October for these Celtics. I don't know.
No.
It's just that this one feels long. Sometimes summers go by quick, and all of a sudden you're back in your sports watching, Nest, right? And in the fall onward. But fuck, man, I just feel like this summer's going on forever.
Yeah, that's true. Usually there's not much to speak about with NBA come August, and I remember the time last year. Unfortunately, we were doing a show about Bill Russell's passing. I can't believe that's already been a year since it happened. So rest in peace to Bill. But listen, September 7th cannot come quick enough, and obviously all the four sports will be back in full swing come late September. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, let's give the people what they want. Let's not wait any further. So yeah, like I said, first thing jumping in. So Porziņģis, as y'all know, got traded over here in June, for the beloved Marcus Smart in the 3-team trade. The FIBA World Cup is going on, or the basketball. I forget what it's called. I think it's the FIBA World Cup for basketball. It's going on right now, and he, Porziņģis was supposed to play. He was slated to play, and then all of a sudden, we get the tweet. That sent Celtics Nation ablaze as always. It don't take much to get us on fire, but as soon as we saw 4-6 and it wasn't rings next to it, we lost our mind. So the injury that's being put out there is being said that it was plantar fasciitis, which I think about Joakim Noah having that injury, and it wasn't really good for him in the long run. So just where's your concern meter with that? And do you think we see him in time for training camp?
Yeah, he's supposed to be ready by training camp. If all of this is true and above board and everything that we're hearing is correct, then he should be good to start training camp. I think I'm suspicious of the timing of the tweet and the diagnosis and timetable for return, because it would make a ton of sense to me if the Celtics traded for this guy with already established injury concerns, and they were like, listen, we're going to need you to not play in that tournament. Your NBA career comes first. We want you fully healthy and ready to go. We don't want to risk an injury that's outside of the Celtics purview. It happens in soccer all the time, which is, I guess my concern meter is low, to answer your question more succinctly, but it happens in soccer all the time where, the people that pay players are the clubs, these cities that host teams, and the sort of franchise owners that pay soccer players, but they also go on essentially a volunteer basis to play in tournaments for their country. So it's a very similar situation. Now, if it's the World Cup, which in soccer terms is the biggest tournament you could possibly play in, and this is the dreams of every kid, you're not going to fake an injury to not go on international duty, to go play for your country.
No.
The FIBA World Cup, in comparison to actual NBA games, is not the same thing. So I would be unsurprised if this was a move to make sure that he was in fact fully healthy for come training camp in 8 weeks or whatever it is, 8 weeks from the time we got the news. And it's like, what players always do in soccer, like Liverpool players, for example, it's like, oh, there's an international friendly game, right? And say you're fresh off an injury, or you've just come back into the team, or there's a risk of something. Your physios, your health and safety department, whatever you're calling those guys who are in charge of your wellness, they want to keep you. They're like, don't go to a friendly, which means nothing, right? And go to that team's health and safety people where they might have a different philosophy on your injury, or that coach who's less concerned about your timetable of return, because he only needs you for this week, and then you can fuck off for a few months before we do anything international again. So like they care less. They want to keep you in the bubble of your respective employer, essentially, right? So because that happens all the time in a sport I watch on a regular basis, it smacked of that for me right away. That was my first thought. Was I think I'm not saying he doesn't have plantar fasciitis. I'm just saying like if the Celtics sniffed anything, they'd be like, you're not going to that. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing that. So whatever. Now I could be wrong. Porziņģis could be like all about playing for his country in the FIBA World Cup, and this could be incredibly important to him, and like this might all be made up. But I don't know. I for me, it's like a wait and see, and let's see if he does make it to training camp. If he's there on day one of training camp, I think I'm vindicated in this stance. And he makes it through the whole thing, et cetera, et cetera. They're not idiots. This is a multi-million-dollar asset. This is a multi-million-dollar asset that they've gone and got. And just for public relations purposes, you don't want this guy to start the season off hurt, because like, as you said, it takes very, very little for Celtics Nation, Celtics Twitter to start wetting the fucking bed when something happens. And it's not as though I have been completely devoid of guilt in that department either. But with the fact that this is a known quantity with Porziņģis, and he's had seasons where he hasn't been fully healthy, and the frustrations that we have at his position and just in general of players getting hurt to start seasons, I just think they're being extra careful. I really do. I think it's a good business move above anything else. And I just think, I want him like rolling in to the training center. What's the training center called? The one you can see from
I want to say the Auerbach Center.
Yeah, the Auerbach Center. You can see it when you're on the Mass Pike coming in, and I want him rolling in there every day, getting a massage at 9 a.m. Eating his greens, getting his nutrition's tracked, to getting CT scans of stuff, stretching, doing yoga, drinking tea, fucking getting sleep, cryotherapy, fucking like recovery, light training. I want all of that in the confines of this huge business that is the Boston Celtics organization, which quite frankly is a lot bigger than most international country basketball teams. Now, that's not the same thing when it comes to international countries, soccer teams, for instance, or rugby teams. I mean, it's just a different kettle of fish. But as far as basketball goes, the NBA is king. So I want him at home, resting, recuperating. I want him 100%. I want them to know what his fucking tear ducts are doing by the time training camp comes around. And I want all the shit tracked, his heart rate, his fucking lactic acid levels. And I want him 100% when he comes in on game 1 in October. That's, and I think if that's all the case, then it's a great move. It's a great move by the organization.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same page with this, because when I saw the tweet, I was just like, yo, like, I was like, why? Come on, Shams, like, come on, Brad, like, don't do this. But then I remembered, it's like people forgot immediately. The same day that tweet was out there, he was shooting pull-up threes from like 30 feet and was gunning them down.
Yeah.
The same thing. Same day they said, "Oh, once again, have you had plantar fasciitis for real? Guess what? You're gonna be off your feet." He was shooting from 35 feet and knocked them down. So I was like, take a deep breath, give it time. It's okay. Like he's gonna be fine. And once again, maybe there's some other little thing that's going on, but I don't think it's that. It had to sound serious, so that he doesn't get I guess the brunt of it from his country people. I do think that they really wanted him to play. I think he wanted to play.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's just that I think it's the Celtics call.
Oh, for sure. And once again, same thing because Al Horford was going to play, I think, for Dominican Republic too. And it's like, look, man, you're 95 years old in basketball terms. Sit your ass down. You should be do nothing out but spending time with your family in the pool, drinking pina coladas with your dad in the background, and watching
Just
Scarface. Like I don't
relax.
know,
Yeah.
just relax, just relax. If you want to put up a couple jump shots at the gym, cool, not a problem. Other than that, you should not. And getting the kids ready for school because the new school year is coming. That's about it. There
Yeah,
should be nothing
do
else.
you like resistance band training in the morning? Maybe some
Yeah, all
Pilates,
that, all that.
yoga.
I yeah, no way. I was just yeah. So yeah, like I said, I'm glad we're on the right page, I was glad to see there was other people that actually agreed with our sentiment. Because like I said, you can't just just like with the low management stuff, like you have to actually have to say it's an injury. You can't just say, oh, they're resting. You have to say that it's for an actual thing. So yeah, I'm totally on board with that having to be that. Once again, when you sign him into a 2-year, $60 million extension, you're obviously investing in the next 3 years with him. So yes, you have to make sure that whatever precautions you can take, you can. And yeah, it's about September, late September, and it's about October 25th. Like I said, we'll get into that, later on when they open up against the Knicks. So
Sure.
yeah, like I said, I could care less about his tournament. Honestly, and this is going a step further, but it just goes against what you just said. But I just feel, this is just how I personally feel. I would even care if he said no to the Olympics too. Like, fuck that. I'm sorry. I don't care. Like the only goal that matters is Larry. That's the
Yeah.
only goal that matters to me. It's Larry O'Brien. And I get it. Go events are dope. So I would not sit here and shit like that. That's not the
But
case.
again, I
Like
mean, from the
great.
Celtics perspective, right?
Like who cares?
You employ this guy, right?
Right.
You have a guy that's over 7 feet tall. The general consensus is his body
Mhm.
is not as likely to hold up as a guy who's 6'3", right?
Right.
That's not always true, but with him specifically, because of his injury risks, and you're employing this dude, I think it's fair enough to say everybody's got a finite amount of games in them. Everyone's got a number. Everyone's got a number that they hit. Me and my friends in college used to joke around about Kevin Garnett. Obviously KG was still playing for us, and every time somebody took a shot after the whistle, as you I'm sure remember, KG would jump up and slap the fucking ball away because it's like, you're not getting
Yep.
a rhythm on my court. Like, fuck you.
Yep.
I understood it, but like towards the end, me and my friends that I lived with would had this running joke of like, how much do you think he wants those 10,000 jumps back? Like how it's
Yep.
like, because if you
Yeah.
could just have 10,000 more jumps instead of jumping up and slapping the ball away, it seems insignificant. But to me, if you have a finite amount of games and we're paying you to play those games, we're paying you to play those games for us, right? We're
Right.
paying you to play
Yep.
them for the Celtics. So if the circumstances were different, if it wasn't such a if we weren't on such a knife edge with getting a guy in at that position that we kind of need so badly to be there when it gets really important, I don't mind him getting games managed in the season. I don't mind if he misses a couple of weeks here and there because his fucking calf hurts or whatever. It's like, whatever, we'll just take precautions. Like, it's a long regular season. I want him there for the playoffs, and
Yes.
I don't want him just there for this year's playoffs. I don't want him just there for now. I want him there for every fucking day that his contract is paying him a ludicrous sum of money to put the fucking round thing and the other round thing. So
Yeah.
he does that for us. We fucking pay him. So no, you're too injury prone. Sorry,
Yep.
you're not going to
Yep.
the World Cup and you're not going to the Olympics. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You want to cause a fucking thing about it? We'll see. But if I was the Celtics,
Yep.
I'd be doing the same shit.
No, facts. I mean, same thing. I think that's probably why Tatum's not playing now either. Because I thought Tatum would have played. That's because I mean, if there's anyone on that team that wants to play every game, and it doesn't matter where he's
We
at.
got work to do, though. We got work to do.
No, right. So I think it's actually. I mean, granted, we say it now, but we didn't feel that we had the game 7. But it's probably good that he had the ankle injury, at that time, because he would have played this summer, right? And then we'd have been like, okay, now he comes in October or September, and he's gassed because he's playing into August. He's played all year
Should we
round.
actually say on that note, we have to figure something out in that regard, because there's now
Yeah.
2 seasons in a row that by the time the playoffs came around, he had something that was banging him up and affecting his performance.
Well, the ankle came out of nowhere, though. I feel like that wasn't something that was lingering, though.
I I understand what you're saying, because like you saw it happen, because he like came down on the ankle and then like didn't
Yeah.
exactly play right. But I do think that there's like probably someone more qualified than me in like in physical science, but I would
Mhm.
bet that there's an idea of like general durability, and
Yeah.
amount of games played. Like there's it like you know, like when you see somebody roll an injury, like roll an ankle or like fuck up their knee or something, and it goes in a weird direction, and then they're fine, and you're like, Jesus Christ! It's like that's because you like stretched good, bro. Like he was playing a lot of hard minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I just feel like we need to. Yes, I agree with you on the front end. We need to make sure that he is recuperating, resting, not playing stupid amount of minutes. Like same thing as with Porzingis. But I also think it's like I think that there has to be something said for. I know they're not load management guys, and I do respect it. I
Yeah.
generally respect like what Tatum's stance is on it. Where like, and you know, I enjoyed those quotes. I think it was probably a couple months ago now, where he's like,
Mhm.
"What I do, I just don't feel like fucking playing against New Orleans. Like, you know, those people paid the money to come see me play. Blah 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 blah." I think
Yeah.
that that's a good attitude as like a superstar on the team, and the best player on the team. I think it's a good attitude in general, but I also think that it shouldn't be up to him. I think it should be up to the people who are doing our sports science. And they're like, if they're like he could really use a game off and it would significantly reduce his risk of injury, I think we should do it.
Yeah.
And I know that that goes against like the old head thing of like, whoa, you remember when fucking Karl Malone was playing like, duh, duh, duh. And it's like I understand, but it's not 1998 anymore. Like we understand so much more about
Yeah.
the human body now. So let's just listen to the fucking people whose job it is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, like I think he plays all 82. I don't think he's. I mean, if he doesn't play all 82, he
It's
plays
about
these
minutes
70.
though. It's about minutes and it's about what you're asking him to do in those minutes. You know?
Right. I'd be okay with him going from 82 games or 80 games to like 71,
Yeah.
71
Yeah.
games, and then instead of playing, because I know he probably plays about 36 a night.
Yeah.
Um, if you could get him down to about 31
Yeah.
a night, I think that would
The
be
only way to do that
most.
is bring in some fucking depth on the wing, though, which I know is on your agenda. I don't want to jump ahead, but
Yeah. Oh no, I'm no. That's a good segue because that's next. So 'cause I feel like I jumped ahead too, but that's fine. We get excited. So yeah. So the report came out that the Celtics are working out Lamar Stevens, who I feel like was drafted by Cleveland or played for Cleveland for a little bit. I don't know so much about him, but then obviously TJ Warren's a more proven commodity. Both guys could fill the wing position. I think Stevens is a little more kind of like what they just got with Jordan Wall. So I don't know if they would go that route. So just are you? I mean, I don't know how much you know about both players, but I mean, we know more about TJ. Would you be cool with either one of them joining the team and just filling out that last roster spot, or would you rather hold it open for like a buyout guy later on in the year?
I like you. I know more about TJ Warren than I do about Lamar Stevens. I do
Yeah.
know that Lamar Stevens played in San Antonio, which
Oh,
always
okay, gotcha. Okay. Yep.
is always a good sign to me. I
Mhm.
think anyone coming out of that organization, like I've been on record, and I think it's hard to debate that that's the best run organization of the past 30 years,
Yeah.
just as far as like top to bottom what they do. I think you can make the argument that that Kawhi stuff happened and that was a little weird, but that was a little bit of an anomaly. And then it turns out that Kawhi maybe doesn't like to play basketball. So I think that anyone coming from there is a good sign. But I like you, I don't know a ton about him. I haven't seen him play a ton of basketball.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll answer your question in two parts. If it was Lamar Stevens, I'd rather keep that spot open, and
Yeah.
see what the buyout market looks like. We so rarely take advantage of that buyout market, and I think we're in a
Mhm.
really prime position to do it this year. Um, and also that would give us a little bit of leeway to see what the team is shaping up like and what we really need. I mean, I think that there's things you can identify on paper, and I think the wing position is that like right off the bat, because we've been calling for wing depth for those guys for a while, but at the
Yeah.
same time what type of wing player are we looking for? What kind of minutes? Like if we're trying to get Tatum down to 31 and Brown, I think Brown's probably right around the 33, 34 minute
Mhm.
mark. And I'm a little less concerned about bringing his minutes down because he's sort of proven to be more durable, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But I think that we should start to look at those minutes if we're considering a Lamar Stevens. We should start to look at those minutes and start to look at more specifically what we need. And I think we could probably do better with a higher impact buyout guy. TJ Warren, I like. I
Yeah.
like his. I would be okay if it was him. If we wanted to go that route, because I think that he has size, and I think he brings something different than Tatum and Brown when he gets on the floor. He can score. he's not a prolific scorer, but I think if he could come in and get you 9 to 11 points off the bench, I think that that's pretty possible. We
Yeah.
saw sort of two different versions of him. I think the version of him that we saw,
Yeah, yes, you did.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
the version of him that we saw in Brooklyn is very, very different than the version we saw in Phoenix. And I think that um,
Indiana
whilst
too.
in
Mhm.
Indiana too, and whilst both of those that I mentioned are smaller sample sizes, I I am optimistic that he's the better version that we've seen, like in reality, because of circumstance. So I'd be super cool with him coming in. He's the exact kind of sort of four that I like. I think that he offers some things that are similar to Tatum, but obviously he's not as good. But
Right.
also I think that he just offers a little bit of robustness in that
Mhm.
in that wing position, depth, like you were saying. So I guess where I would come to is I don't really want Lamar Stevens. I don't know much about him. I'd be happy to be proved wrong, as we always say. I
Right.
want him to be good, but I would love to hold out for the buyout market, which I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a Brad Stevens thing, but Danny wasn't huge into the buyouts either. I'm not as like up on the contract, luxury tax stuff as I
Mhm.
should be probably, and I don't know what it means financially in those buyout situations. I know that it costs you money,
Yeah.
obviously. So, that might be a reason. There might be sort of it's like I could see a general manager listening to their owner in that situation where you're saying like the return on investment you usually get in the buyout market isn't worth X amount of money because this, and this has to happen to get them to a buyout position in the first place, right? So usually you can find certain players that, you know, this is a little bit more rare, but certain players that have maybe become um surplus to requirements in a different situation that would be perfect for us. Like one man's trash is another man's treasure. The problem when
Right.
you're in a position like the Celtics are in is you're filling small holes at this point. Like the team has sort of been built out and the big pieces are there. And like we kind of know what we're going with here. There's versions of bench players that I would like to see improved on from previous seasons for obvious reasons. And as much as I fucking hated Grant Williams, he was wing cover. So we have to do something like about that too. So, I don't mean to sound like unexcited about it. I'm very chill about where the roster is right now. And I know that
Yeah.
that's a little antithetical to the sort of general consensus of Twitter, but like that's Twitter for you, or
Right.
X or whatever the fuck
Right.
it's called now. That's just the culture. I'm just a reasonable basketball watcher for the most part, quite chill about the whole thing. So I would, like you said, I would be happy to chill and wait until the buyout market kind of comes around,
Yeah.
especially with this midseason tournament and like what that means. And I'm not really sure what that's going to mean for minutes and I don't love that it's happening, but that's a separate conversation entirely. Um,
Yeah, that's
I would imagine you're a TJ Warren fan. Is that the case?
no, for sure. I think obviously, he turned into like prime MJ in the bubble. Like it was ridiculous.
I know
Um,
that's the bubble. So a lot of
yeah,
players do
no,
that,
no
right?
facts. But I mean, it was. I mean, but it was like it was a joke how like the numbers he was putting up. Like,
Right,
dude was he scored like 53 in a game, and I was like,
right.
what the like? Whoa! Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me?
Yeah,
But
the
it's
air was different in there for sure.
yeah. I was like, wow. I was like, okay, like that was like I
But
was
that's
like
also
that.
that's also the fucking rod I used to beat Lakers fans with. I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
say shit like, yeah, TJ Warren looked like fucking Larry Bird in the fucking bubble, dude.
Well,
You
it
guys
was
won a
crazy.
fucking championship.
Crazy.
Like that fucking whole year was crazy.
Yeah, I'm like that's. I was like maybe because some guys just need to block out the noise and just go out and hoop. Maybe he's one of those guys. So I was like, but I was yeah that was an insane run from him. But yeah, I just think from what they're looking because I know they just signed his former teammate um O'Shea Brissett over the summer as well. And to me, I feel like O'Shea Brissett's more of a backup to what Rob and Al are doing, even though he's not as big as those guys, but I feel like he plays, like them. So I feel like he's going to be a third guy kind of sometimes out there where Cornette feel like at times. So that's a little different. Where TJ Warren can kind of spell Brown and Tatum, whether they're out, whether they going to play less minutes one
There's
particular
also
night.
the Sam Hauser factor. I mean,
Right. Exactly.
if
Exactly.
you're in the
Exactly.
Sam Hauser camp, if you're a Sam Hauser fan, uh,
Mhm.
you have to sort of ask yourself, are we going to sign guys that are taking away minutes from him. Like,
Yes.
can he make a leap? Are we in a position to watch him make a leap at this point? All signs point to like, if I'm Sam Hauser, I probably want to be somewhere where I'm playing, 25 minutes a game, which I just don't see as being super realistic.
But I don't. But he's not a 25 minute a night guy yet. Anyway, not yet.
No, but you got to give him, you got to feed
15
him,
minutes sure.
but you
15
got
minutes
to
for sure.
feed him minutes to get him better. You know what I mean? Like you got to start.
Oh, sure.
That stuff. You got to start gradually up in those minutes to see where he can go. I think that like I like the idea of him a lot more than I like him in practice a lot of the time. Like we really are missing like a fucking spot up jump shooter, like a guy that can just like put the ball in the net from a spot as and like the reason I say we're missing it is because like I mean it'd be a luxury. Like Porzingis can do it, but like I don't want him to be wasted on just like as the third shooting option or the fourth shooting option all the time. Like I want him like we've talked about this extensively, like moving in and out, pick and rolls and all that shit. I want him to shoot the 3 too. Don't get me wrong, but a 5 out like everybody just plays solo ball thing is like the stuff of nightmares for me to be honest. So I think like a guy that can like it would be such a nice luxury to have if Sam Hauser's 3-point shooting percentage was at a really respectable level this year at a 15-minute mark. Because he's going to be unguarded a lot of the time. Because if you put him on the floor with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porziņģis, and I don't know, probably Derek White playing point in that situation, everybody's a threat to score at that point. And if Hauser's open, because like they're trying to slide guys onto fucking Porziņģis because he's killing you, or Jaylen Brown because he's killing you, or Jason Tatum because he's killing you, or fucking Derek White because he's killing you. Yeah. And Sam Hauser just has this lovely existence of every time he plays 15 minutes for the Celtics, he finds himself standing alone in a corner. You know what I mean? And we find a way to get him the ball because we're moving the ball better than we did at the end of last year, hopefully. That's a thing for me I want to see. So if we're going to bring a guy in at that position, TJ Warren could probably do it. But yeah, a guy that's like robust, a guy that's setting screens. The guy I thought Grant Williams was for like 5 seconds would be good. Marcus Morris, I would be happy to have him in there. You know what I mean? Like fucking someone like that.
Yeah, I think TJ. Well, maybe not defensively, but I feel like everything else he does, essentially what Marcus Morris,
right,
or even brother did. Yeah. So I mean, I thought he fit here very well when he was here, obviously, but
we were also in an era though, and I don't want to re-enter this era where like everybody thought they were the next fucking Ray Allen for periods, where like Marcus Morris was taking 3-point shots and fucking and what was his name? Oh my god, I can't believe it. He just
Rozier.
No, not Rozier. I didn't mind when he shot, despite the unglorious, disglorious way that he went out by missing 8,000 shots. But why can't I fucking remember? Is it Crowder? Crowder thought he was the second of Reggie or Ray or Steph. And I'm like, dude, please stop fucking shooting. So I just don't want that to happen again. So like if we get guys in there that are just putting up threes, I can't. But also and this is not a celebration of this necessarily, but we no longer have Marcus Smart on the team. And he was the least efficient fucking shooter I've ever seen in my life. So, maybe it won't look as bad if other guys are taking
shots. Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, once again, we'll see how it looks to have a point guard who's looking to be a pass first more than
quick.
Yeah, or even like once again, Brogdon became the higher gun, but that's what Brogdon's calling card was in Indiana, even in Milwaukee. Like,
well, what's his injury though? It's so weird. I
mean, well,
with his injury, I'm confused.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's here past February, and honestly, I don't think they've done enough to repair their relationship. Most thing they could have, but
I'd be happy enough, honestly, like because I'm happy with the idea of the transition of focus going to the front court, and that's what I've been looking for years. I'm happy enough to like. There's a lot of good point guards, bro. Like, there's a shitload of fucking good point guards. Like, you just have to.
I know, but I really like his game. And once again, like,
I'm not saying there's a ton of point guards that are as good as Malcolm Brogdon. I'm saying you can get a guy that can do a job as the second string, third string point guard and focus that roster spot that Malcolm Brogdon's taken up on other areas.
Well, the guy that could have been a replacement for him. We didn't get in the deal because it fell through with the Clippers, but Tyus Jones would have been phenomenal here, in my opinion. Once again, not as big because he's only he's around our height, but he scores. He defends well. So if you had told me when that happened that he was going to be a replacement, I'd have been like, okay, cool. I'm not going to argue. Like, let's just see what because he's a young player. Let's just see how the transition happens. But unfortunately, like I say, it just didn't work out that way. And then the casualty of it all became Marcus Smart. So it is what it is. But yeah,
personally, if it were me, I don't know how realistic this is, but I would be aggressively putting a trade package together for Jose Alvarado. Whatever we can do to get that would be, I think, a prototype Celtics fucking backup point guard. Just a spark plug.
Yeah. He would be a fair favorite here immediately.
Yeah. He would be so good. I would also be happy to take back, and this is very unrealistic, but like a Terry Rozier, like you had mentioned, like perfect fucking bench guard in a team like this. What's his name? I don't even know if he's in the fucking league anymore. Who is the guy? Avery Bradley. I'd be happy to take an Avery Bradley, like a guy. We did lose defensive backcourt presence by losing Marcus Smart. As much as we're all kind of doing a celebration of the 30% from the fucking field in a playoff game is gone. He was a defensive backcourt juggernaut, right? And I think Derek's defense is good, and Malcolm, if he plays, his defense is pretty good. But I would love a fucking Jose Alvarado, man. Like that would make me so happy. Like he would just be perfect.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, his role is not going to be a scoreless shit, but hopefully Jordan Walsh can carve out a niche as a defender.
What's going on with Mitchell Pritchard?
Well, I mean, he just dropped 61 with our boy IT in the summer league game. That was dope.
Sure.
That was cool to see. But it's put up or shut up time with him. Like this is year 4 with him.
Minutes now? Is he gonna get? Is he?
I mean, I would think so. I feel like he has to at this moment. Because once again, if you're gonna maybe move Brogdon to the 2, if you're not looking for Brogdon to really be a guy to set up the offense, he's more of a guy who's gonna really be the spot up 50, 40, 90 guy as he was built when he came here. Then yeah, let's see what Pritchard can do. And once again, you can't go on the sympathy tour that he went on last year.
No, it was a bad timing. I did not like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even think there wouldn't have been a right time to do it. Even in the offseason, I've been pissed, and I'm like, dude, you didn't play well enough to have the sympathy tour and saying, hey.
On the other hand, though, getting thrown in to fucking hit threes in a situation where the offense is just not working is like not fair to him at the same time, right? Like,
sure, but
in a minute where we're like, coasting, and it's like, let's give him a fucking chance,
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I do think he may, the year before, figure out how to allow him to be a spark plug without ruining his confidence completely. I know there was times that he had been a lot of coaches' decisions, DMPs, but I feel like he made the best of his opportunities the year before.
I agree.
On Udoka. So once again, hopefully Sam Cassell. I think Sam Cassell, believe it or not, was actually in Payton Pritchard's shoes. He was the backup to Vernon Maxwell and Kenny Smith when they won the championship in Houston. So a little, and obviously Sam Smith was 3-time champion now, 5-time All-Star. And I'm not saying that Payton Pritchard is going to turn into what Sam Cassell was, because he averaged 15 and 6 for his career.
Yeah.
Once again,
I know what you mean. It's like
you got something close to that. You can book it that we're at least getting back to the conference finals and go out to if we get something and play out there from the bench, like that would be insane.
I agree. I see what you're saying, because he was he can advise the kid.
Right, exactly. So maybe that's where he'll pay his most dividends is that. So I hope that's the case. But to answer to wrap up on the original question, like I said, TJ Warren would be great here once again. I don't know why I thought Lamar Stevens was in Cleveland. I thought about this guy. It was another guy named DJ Stevens. He played in Cleveland. So I'm with you. What you said, your sentiment originally was right. If someone from San Antonio comes over, like usually they are top the fundamentals. They know how to play their role. They're not gonna bitch and moan. So From that standpoint alone, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. But once again, from a talent perspective, I'm all here for TJ Warren being a part of the team, and once again being a guy that can spot start for Brown or Tatum, when they are not playing, or like I said, they have injury they need to heal during the regular season. So before we get into Tatum Brown a little bit further, another guy I want to bring up because it's been circling around that he may come back. Are you here for Blake Griffin coming back?
Yeah, I love Blake. I really like his I really think his energy on the team. I like his his willingness to play the role that he was playing for us, which is somewhat diminished due to the sort of diminishment of his, quite frankly, some of the best athleticism I've ever seen in an NBA player in his prime.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
he's also a veteran that was at the highest highs at points. I know he's never obtained a championship, and I know that the Lob City experiment was ended in disappointment, especially. I mean, I was before we had a podcast, but I was very up on that Clippers team before they sort of fizzled and faded. And I don't really think that was Blake's fault. I mean, like Chris Paul has now developed a reputation for getting injured at the worst possible time for his team's championship aspirations. But I mean, there's nothing you can do about that. I'm not saying that's his fault either. It's just bad luck. I think that in another dimension, that Clippers team has at least one championship, and it was an exciting one to watch. Turns out that LeBron's Heat team ended up being like the high flying circus act that won a championship that Clippers team were so trying to elusively seek out. But I really liked Blake Griffin's game. Like, he was like fucking NBA Jam player when he first got into the league. He's from a fun era of basketball that we maybe have moved past a little bit, but I think I respect the shit out of the fact that he adjusted his game to stay in the league after that athleticism went with those injuries. And he seems like a good dude. Everything that comes out of his mouth is like, oh man, I love it in Boston. Everybody, those guys are great. The atmosphere is great. He's a veteran. He understands what to say to the media. He knows, like, he's not an idiot. And I also just think he'd be a great presence because, you don't want to limit your view to what you see on the court. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, as we know. Any documentary you've ever watched about a championship team, or like think about The Last Dance. The things that were happening in those locker rooms and the things that were happening between the players, all this, it's hard to win a championship. All this stuff is really, really small degrees of change to make everything work. And I think having a guy like that around the kids, even sitting on the backups bus, he didn't even seem to mind doing that. And he's probably telling them cool fucking stories from the NBA, and he's probably the fucking main man with all those guys, and just the leadership behind the scenes. I really enjoy, and I didn't mind him when he played, to be 100% honest with you. I don't want him thrown out in a playoff situation probably at this point. I think we're
he doesn't need to play.
But I mean, if he's our Brian Scalabrine, like if he's in a fucking suit on Game 7 of the fucking finals and he's celebrating a championship with us, I'm dedicating 10 minutes to our fucking championship celebration show to be like, Blake Griffin got one, motherfucker. Like, I'm down for it. I'm 100% for it. So
listen, DeAndre Jordan got one in Denver this year,
right?
So if DeAndre
all those guys deserve one, even if it's like not even if they're not the stars of the show. I think that I think Blake playing the Sam Cassell role, like Blake by the time the fucking playoffs come around, like that's a dream. So yeah, I'm happy to take him back.
Totally here. And once again, we remember Sam Cassell that year when he came over, hit a very big shot in San Antonio when we never beat San Antonio at that time. San Antonio was somewhere that was an automatic loss, no matter who was around, who played. Like, we just could never win in San Antonio. And he hit that big three to put them up, and then they won that game, and they went on a run shortly thereafter. So yeah, I never forget that particular moment. Obviously, we know what PJ Brown did later on.
Downtown PJ Brown.
Well, so yeah, like that's where to me, that's where Blake Griffin was for at Parsons. Actually, like, he was the PJ Brown for the team. Just with a little bit of a better jump shot. So I would love for him to come back. Like I said, I saw the show. What's the show that Mark D'Amico does? Views from the Raptors, and they talked about it. The Bus One Boys is what they call them. And yeah, it was great to see the chemistry between him, Cornette, Payne Pritchard, so on and so forth. So yeah, like it's like
I bet he's a really
it's
tough practice guy.
it's not fake love either. It's not fake love because, like I said, every like literally every home game, like if they were up big or like even if they were like down, unfortunately, the crowd that was left there was still like, yo, like we want Blake, we
Right.
want Blake. So that was literally every game. So it wasn't something where it came out of nowhere, but like fans were really wanting to see him play. He definitely displayed more hustle than I envisioned. Dude was diving to the floor, loose balls, getting steals, timely charges. So yeah, like 10 to 12 minutes a night, I think will be suffice, especially with Al being up there, and obviously we know what it is with Rob, and even sometimes with Porzingis. So yeah, like I would love for him to come back. I think that he obviously enjoyed it here. So I want to make sure that we keep good vibes, to keep the good chemistry as much as possible. But speaking of chemistry, there's a picture that's floating on the social media, on Twitter. Like I said, we'll never call it X. Mama calling Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter. Tatum and Brown looks like they're working out together in the summer. Really seems like for the first time, really ever in their career together. So I'm gonna do the Twitter. I'm gonna do the Twitter overreaction, and I'm into this. Are you into this? Are you into this? To them hanging out, and actually working out over the summer. Does this show anything different for you in your mind as a Celtics fan?
I mean, I don't want to be like the grumpy old man about this, but I'm like 175 in sports years at this point, and like I'm very wary of like the propaganda machine that like is
Mhm.
the summer workout photo.
Yeah,
I think like you know, Jason Tatum was also at one point came off a summer of working out with Kobe Bryant, had like the worst fucking year of his life. So it's just like I don't know. I I want Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown to achieve the highest possible ceiling that they have, both as individual players and as a tandem.
mhm,
And I think the highest possible ceiling that they could have as a tandem has much, much more to do with their off the court relationship, their ability to play together and play unselfishly around each other than it does with their physical talents. So if I'm taking any sort of upside or happiness with the idea that they were working out together, it's that they don't mind being around each other. And anytime you spend more time with a teammate, you can develop a connection. And if they're even thinking of one, two, or like one or two little fucking Texas two-step moves to bring out in a fucking game together in the gym, that's great. But more than that, I want them to just be on the same page mentally, because what has been true about this Celtics team, I'd say for the past 3 years, or probably coming into the third year, is that they are capable physically, talent wise, skill wise, roster wise of winning a championship. What we need to do now is figure out the smaller nuances that go into getting past a very mentally strong Miami Heat team, or figuring out where to go if our offense starts to stall, or like this is the stuff that you need to be elite at to go and win a championship. And if you look at any championship in the NBA ever, the exception of maybe the Golden State Warriors just going fucking ballistic against everybody and like being impossible to beat, you need to overcome adversity. It's a thing that it's a thing that makes you great. It sounds like a cliche, but I think it's true. Like teams going in hot into the playoffs is great, but that like lower seeded team that has to fight the guy coming back from an injury, the bouncing back from a bad game, the stuff that really matters when you're at the top 1% of these leagues, it can only help. It can only help if you're having a nice time with the other best player on the team in the gym. Um, that being said, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how what to read into it, because I thought that them as a tandem, like playing together, that best I've ever seen it, I think, was last season. That's not to necessarily say that like they had their best seasons or post seasons more accurately, but like how they played off each other, I think has always gotten better every year. And I think that it's not necessarily the easiest to players to put together and see play perfectly. Like you can put a 7 foot tall center and a 6'3" guard together and be like, just run the fucking pick and roll. You guys are gonna have great chemistry. But like two guys that play essentially the same position with a lot of the same qualities, you need to figure out situational awareness and situational sort of hierarchies. And I think that the media speculation has always been far more than the actual players with those two guys. Like with the way people talk about them and the way they think about them has always been very different. So I don't know why that would change just because it's positive. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, great. I'm glad you're playing basketball. Let's just see what happens. I just don't overreact to it. I don't mean to sound like a fuddy-duddy, but I've seen a lot of off-season photos. I've seen a lot of oh man, fucking Baker Mayfield looked great in practice today, man. His arm was electric. And it's just like, yeah, well, let's see it. You know what I mean? Like, let's fucking see. That's just my only kind of initial attitude about it.
Well, I'm overreacting.
They're Shaq and Kobe now.
Shaq, MJ and Pippen, baby, let's get it. This is the thing. Who do we usually see Tatum work out with? Joel Embiid, right? We see him work out with Joel Embiid and Joe Harron, who's there, who's there usually their workout coach. And it's like, why do you have a chemistry with Embiid? You're not playing with this guy. Fuck Joel Embiid. Once again, now if that's
I did like the one-on-one videos where Jason would get the best of
it. No, they were dope to watch, but it's just like if you're not planting the seed for him to request a trade to us, like I don't care. Like to be honest, where like I'd give my niece and nephew for Joel Embiid, honestly. Like I think that'd be a phenomenal move. But anyways, but hey, BJ and Brianna, I love you. But it was just like, yo, like that to me, I just feel like, to me, if I want to psychoanalyze it, because that's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to overreact, and I can't, because it's our show. I took that as they're like, look, if there's ever a time that we now need to be on the same page, like way before camp,
sure.
it's now, like not September 27th, not October 25th, not February 3rd. We need to be in tune, in sync, in motion right now, so that by the time we get to training camp, we're finishing each other's sentences.
Yeah,
like that's where it needs to be. So
sentences. Nice. Got it.
Yeah, like, so it's gotta finish that. So that's where I'm at with that, and I just think that, ironically, to me, the best they've ever played, and I know statistically, obviously, it was this year, but I remember the first series they had. Well, was it the first series? Yeah, when they played against Milwaukee in 2018. Game 4. I mean, they ended up losing that game, but the game 4, where after they both top hit 30, I was like, oh, like this is how it should look going forward, because it wasn't your turn, my turn. That was before all that nonsense happened. It was just like, oh, you're hot, go cook. Oh, you're hot, go cook. I'm not even gonna get in the way. And I'm just like, yes, that's what's needed. Don't just say your turn, my turn. Just like, yo, if that guy is going off and that guy that's guarding him can't stay in front of him, feed him more. And I'm just like, I don't know why that didn't stay. I get it, because other people started coming back the next year. We know what happened, so I don't want to get into that. But I just feel like if they just say, look, we're just gonna dominate the matchup every time, because that's what it is. It's not necessarily about saying your turn, my turn. Just whoever's in front of you, yo, they can't guard you, bro. Yeah. Go to work. Like it's okay. And just try to just do your best to make the right play over and over and over again. So once again, my only overreaction is that, like I said, I just feel like they feel like the sense of urgency is there. I don't think they loved that Marcus Smart guard traded, but I do think there's maybe a 5 or 10% part of them that's like, he's out of here.
Yeah.
And now it's on us. There is no man. We wait till next year or we'll get better. It's like, nah.
Fuck all that.
Yeah. We gotta figure it out now.
I can accept that. Like it might indicate that they're accepting the responsibility for our season. Yeah. Which they need to, because it's on them. Like it
is. That's what I'm saying. Set the tone. So that's where it needs to be. And listen, win the day, and just be 1% better.
Yeah.
And their 1% better is better than a lot of people. So if they're just 1% better,
lock in. Lock in. One dribble at a time, one step at a time, one shot at a time. It's
literally one dribble. Literally,
yeah,
please.
with your
like, please, literally, please, Jalen, please, just literally once upon a time. Like, don't
overthink.
Don't just too much in that regard, anyway. So I don't want to have another aneurysm come January. So please. So now time is finally here. Like I said, we told you at the beginning we're going to talk about the release. So the schedule for the NBA came out last week for the Celtics. So the first question to ask you just what games are you looking forward to? So I'll start. What games are you looking forward to this season?
I got the Christmas Day game circled. I think the Celtics and the Lakers should play Christmas Day every year. I think the last time we played Christmas Day, I want to say it was either the Sixers or the Bucks. But I like playing the Lakers. I like that it's here. I'm going to try to go. It's at like 2:00, so I can still probably make it for dinner if my mom pushes it back slightly. Mom. Yeah, I would like to. Hopefully, it doesn't piss too many people off, but I would like to go Christmas Day to see the Celtics play. That would be super dope. The fucking commute would be great too. The Christmas Day in LA is the greatest day in the world because there's no one on the road, so you can get everywhere in fucking 20 minutes. So get into the Staples Center, which I'm not going to stop calling it that. I don't care. Right. Get to the Staples Center, which is an arena I actually am on record as loving. I would love to go see that. For me, though, it is difficult to look past Philadelphia Game 1. I think that you can set a huge tone with the first game of the season when you have the luxury of playing one of your direct rivals. Now, all the we are their daddy aside, because like the fact that like how that Celtics team was constituted last year got past them, I'll never fucking understand. But like that was like a fucking pure anomaly. Like they should have beat us. I think that it's going to show a shitload that first game of what everyone's been thinking about, what kind of basketball we're going to play. And this is the biggest thing, if we've learned from the mistakes of last year's postseason, most importantly, the switch everything philosophy that got us cooked repeatedly when Harden was switching on to Horford. I don't know what that Philadelphia team's going to look like with all the Harden drama right now, but I would imagine that they're going to try to do that at least with somebody else if it's not him, if they're able to. It was infuriating to watch over and over and over again in the playoffs last year. And I think that, I hate to say it, Marcus Smart was a big part of why we did it. His ability, at least in his head, to cover or directly guard any player on the floor, including Joel Embiid in the post, was insane, and I don't like it, and I don't want to see it anymore, and I don't want Al Horford switched onto the deep perimeter, borderline fucking half court by a guy who's 8 million times faster than him because he's not 7 fucking feet tall or 6'10". So I think that that will show a lot. The big red circle I have around our first game is going to be really, really informative of what kind of work we've done in the offseason, especially the coaching staff. I'm not asking them to be perfect game 1. I'm not asking them to look exactly like they're supposed to look by by Christmas, for example. But I really do want to see if Joe Mazzulla was in the fucking office over the last few months and over the next couple of months, drawing X's and O's, watching tape, and figuring shit out. Because I swear to God, if it looks the same, or we're playing some sort of fucking 5-out basketball, I'm gonna be calling for his head from day one. I'm gonna be like, just promote Sam, like that. That's a worst case scenario, because like if that's the case, then we're not doing well. But I kind of want that to happen. So, but I'm never gonna wish bad games on the team so that happens. But I just think that Sam Cassell, of anybody there, should be, if you're looking at everybody on the coaching staff, I think Sam Cassell should be the head coach. But whatever. I'm going to be so fucking mad if we're watching that same shit game 1. So that to me is probably the biggest one. They have some tough stretches right around Christmas. They have a West Coast tour that they're going to need to kind of get through. We have not done well on those over the last few seasons, and we need to get better at playing away in general. We play the Knicks twice in the first 2 weeks. I think that will be telling. I think it's not incredibly important, but I do want to see us play the teams that beat us that shouldn't have last year. Like, we kept fucking losing at Cleveland, and I don't think that we would have in a playoff series or anything like that, but we seem to keep losing regular season games to Cleveland. I want to see that stopped. I want to be able to beat them. I don't want to see teams have our number again like that in that way. Miami, we need to go out and make a statement against them early because they just have our fucking number in the playoffs. They're up on us in the 2-1, I think, at this point since we started this podcast, right? So I think we need to right that wrong. We need to go in with a better mentality against that team and a better coaching performances, better individual player performances overall. So I definitely have those games circled, and I know we play those guys a few times. I think this in-season tournament in November, I think is kind of dumb, but I bet we win it. I bet we win the fucking thing because I think we're going to be cooking by that point. I think we have the potential to have the best record in the NBA going into that November tournament. And I'm really interested, if we're talking specifically the schedule, I got November 10th, that Friday against Brooklyn, the group game against Brooklyn circled because I want to see just what the fuck this tournament looks like. I want to see how seriously the players are taking it because that's going to determine how seriously I take it, to be quite honest with you. If they're playing like it's an all-star game, I don't care. If they're playing like it's a regular season game, maybe I'm interested. If they're playing like it's a fucking playoff game or a tournament, I'm very interested, I guess. I'll get on board. But I imagine it's going to be somewhere in the middle. They're probably just going to treat them like regular season games. The rotations are probably not going to shorten up much. You know what I mean? I don't think I think there's a lot of pageantry around it that won't necessarily translate to the players actually caring more about those games than they would a regular season game. Are they extra games, Ray? Or is it? Do they still?
I don't know. I don't know if it's extra games, and I know because when we did a show with Mike kind of broke it down. They've tried to explain it 5-6 times, and once again, when we have to explain something that many times, that means no one fucking knows what's going on.
Yeah, we just got to see it, I guess.
Yeah, just gotta see how it unfolds. Personally, what I would want to do, I would love to have a tournament of the worst teams at the end of the year, going into the summer.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun because you see players
to replace the lottery, and whoever won the tournament will get the number 1 pick.
That'd be sick.
And then obviously whoever finished second or third, that would be your order. To do it like that.
And I think the final game, you throw a knife in there. It's all right, fight for it. Number 1 pick. I wonder what the politics of that would be though, because it's how much do the players there's certain basketball situations where I'm not sure the players give a fuck if that organization gets the number.
Well, no, I mean obviously there would have to be money involved around it too. So it's
they would need some more incentive, right?
Yeah, you get it's like you get the team gets the number 1 pick, everyone gets a $750,000 bonus, something like that.
Yeah.
Which again, that wouldn't mean much to the first or second guy paid on the team, but to a guy that's
totally.
So okay, for instance, say if the Celtics were in that position where they were in the bottom 8, right? Think about someone like Jordan Walsh or even J.D. Davidson, guys are two-way players. $750,000 to them when they are barely making $200,000, they would be like, yo, let's get it. So
100%.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's where it would be cool in that regard. But like I said, I guess we just we have to see how it unfolds, and hopefully when they do stuff like this, it's gonna be here to stay. It's just a matter of how it's received by the fans overall. But as for me, right away, I'm looking at the Heat game, October 27th. I think that is here. Let me see. I'll see right now. It is. No, it's here, guys. It is here. It's a Friday night. I hope that we beat the brakes off them. I'm with you. Whether it's the Heat, the Bucks, we handled the Bucks pretty well in the regular season last year. But
the Bucks seem weirdly flawed to me these days since they won that championship.
Yeah, the flaw is it's really their age. They got old really fast.
Yeah.
And I get it. They had to
resign. They should have revamped it a little bit in the mid roster after that championship.
It's hard though because
you can't take championship winning guys out. I know, I get it.
But yeah, not even that. I'm talking about from a money standpoint. They gave Drew Holiday a max deal literally as soon as he.
I mean, I get why. I do get why. Yeah. For the role, maybe not the role comparatively to other max players in the league, but the role he was playing on that team,
it was you had to pay him, and like I said, he was phenomenal in that 21 postseason. So
I love Drew Holiday.
Again, he's great. I was actually okay with them trading Marcus Smart for him at the time.
Sure.
People looked at me like I was out of my mind, but
I
I'm
mean,
like,
that mid-range game he brings, like, Jaylen Brown's the only other guy that really does it, so I wouldn't mind.
right, yeah, exactly. So I'd have been like that would have been cool. But yeah, that game, just like you, I'm here for the Lakers. I'm glad that it's in LA where you are. I did not want to work Christmas. I worked Christmas last year. It was great because we smacked the Bucks by 20. That was cool.
Yeah.
But I hated
It was the Bucks we played last Christmas Day.
yeah.
Yeah.
I hated sitting there eating food, and then it's like, okay, at 3 o'clock, I had to put on my security uniform.
Yeah,
That's that was trash. So I am more than happy that it is out there at at Staples. So I'm here for it. So you got that. I'm excited to see. Like, to me, they've been fine on the road. I know you mentioned you said they had some struggling on the road, but to me, they've been struggling more at home lately. Last
I
few
just mean
years,
the West Coast trips.
yeah,
I just mean, like, the extended road.
yeah, that's always gonna be hard though. Like
I
when
know, but, like, I know that they are, but at the same time, like, the way this team is currently put together, like, you asked a question on your agenda.
Mhm.
Do you care about seeding? It's like, I do. I want
Yeah,
them to be the number one fucking team in the NBA. I want them to have full fucking home court throughout the entire playoffs. I want them to be a fucking behemoth. I want them to be scary. I want
right,
their reputation to precede them so that the teams that they're playing are scared to fucking play them, you know? And when they start to look like they're gonna lose to the Celtics team, they accept it faster because they go, well, it's the number one seed. I mean, these guys are really
right,
fucking good. Like, I want us to, like you said, beat the breaks off Miami, off Philadelphia, off Milwaukee, off Los
yeah,
Angeles, off. I want us to go fucking beat Denver twice. I want us
yeah,
to. I want us to. I want us to. I want our record, our seed, and our important game wins and losses to reflect that we're the most talented team in basketball, and I want
yeah,
that to go into the playoffs because I don't want anyone to fucking think that they could get at us. You know, so
yeah. I don't think they've won 60 games in this era, in this recent era. I know they've come close a few times, but they had 58, they had 57.
I want
Um,
62 wins this year. That's what I want.
yeah, I mean they was I think the last time they won 60 maybe was '09. Um
66, 08, right?
Yeah, 6608. But to me, the team after that was actually better. That's because they'd already won. That team had won,
That's a sad conversation.
that team had won 18 straight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, obviously KG got hurt, but they had and they lost to the Lakers on Christmas Day. They were 27-2 at the time. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
Like they were just that's what we're looking for. So our fans were
Yeah,
what do you
like
mean?
that. But all that.
Look at that '09 team. You knew after they won the championship, the confidence was sky high, and they was like, "Look, there is nobody in the NBA consistently that can fuck with us."
Yeah, I
And
want that. I want
that's
that to be their attitude. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we have confidence players on the
Yeah, but you should, yeah,
varying degree.
yep,
I want them to
yep,
be like, yeah, we're gonna go get that Heat game. Yeah, we're gonna go get that West Coast road trip. Yeah, we're gonna go win that fucking in-season tournament too. We're gonna win fucking everything. Yeah, we're gonna be the best players on the All-Star day. Yeah, we're only gonna hang out with each other in the All-Star locker room. Like, I want all of that. I want all of that.
right,
Like you were
right,
saying
yeah,
about the workout in the off season. It's like I
yep,
I I agree with you. I chalk it up to the modern NBA and the kind of players that we have now and the way that
yeah,
it is. I don't know if you're ever going to see a kind of a togetherness that we achieved with Ray, Paul, Rajon, and Kevin, but and Doc. But I think that we should strive for it. You know,
yeah,
I want everyone to fucking hate us. Like that's the way I like it. You know, like I want everyone to think we're fucking assholes. I want everyone to. I want the spirit of the internet discourse about us to be filled with venom because that's how I know we're pissing other fan bases off. If they're laughing at you, they're like, "We can get at these motherfuckers. They fucked up against the Heat last year." Da, da, da. I want them to be pissed. I want them to hate us. Fuck the
yeah.
Celtics. Blah blah blah.
I mean that's how it was with that team down Route One
Yeah.
for a number of years.
Oh yeah.
They,
That's what you know what I'm talking about.
kept winning.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
it
about.
kept winning. It was like, oh my god, it was
I
always.
want the hate. I want it. I want all this.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, that's the best position to be in, obviously. Um, you got fan bases still saying that I can't believe you guys are celebrating a championship that's 15 years. No one knows that championship like the '08 Celtics. And I'm like, if you watch it, for those that follow Rip Hamilton, who was one of my favorite players of all time, but he talks about that best five alive
Yeah.
in '04. and that happened longer. That happened almost 20 years ago now. So, um, I want people to understand it is hard to win
Super hard.
an NBA championship, and I get that. You know, you're mad that Pierce's beat Iverson. You're mad that Pierce is beating Reggie Miller in the playoffs. You're mad that Pierce is beating Kobe Bryant in the playoffs. You're mad that he's beating LeBron James. I get it. I understand that you're upset that he beat that, but that's what fucking happened in '08. They ran through the gauntlet, and their hardest series, if we're being honest, was against Atlanta Hawks. And so that says a lot.
Yeah.
So it's just being honest. Like, hey, it is what it is. So it is hard to get there. It's hard to win it. Once again, they should have won twice, but like I said, obviously between injuries and other guys stepping up for LA, it changed that narrative. But and that's what always gets me mad, because you're looking at that era a lot differently if they won 2 out of 3. You just are. And hell, they could have faced LA 3 years straight, really.
Yeah. Should have.
And they should have. But it's just that's just not how it there was too much good energy up here at that time, though. Like, the Patriots took it all. It couldn't have it all. Red Sox is stuck in there for a little bit, and they got something. They was like, yeah, sports gods was like, look, man, how many fucking rings do you want in a decade? I'm like, bitch, I want them all. I want them all, baby. You don't understand. We were a little brother for years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't understand that, but that's another topic for another day. But to stay on this topic, I mentioned about them not being great at home. So, do you think they finally right the ship and play better home and protect home court better? Because it really pissed me off to be there in certain games against the Knicks. That Cavs game that we talked about on the air last year, the Bulls game from a couple of years ago where they blew a 28-point lead. Like, this used to be a place that people came into, and once that building got loud, teams were full like a cheap tent. So, do you think we finally get back to that aura, to that that stature, excuse me, this season?
I mean, I hope so. I don't know if I've seen anything to indicate that we will, other than the fact that we have Kristaps Porziņģis now, and we might just be ahead 40, and it's harder to blow a 40-point lead than a 30-point lead. I want to see, in regards to the home court performances, sure, but also I generally want to see that stuff out of the team, like the blown leads, the isolation basketball that leads to nothing, the trick or treat defense. Sometimes we play it, sometimes we don't. I think it's very possible, because I think we've had a leadership shakeup in Boston, and I think that could potentially result in a different mentality when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I want to see, not just at home though, but I take your point, but I want to see a step on the neck mentality wherever. And especially at home. Like, I know it's a cliche, but I want that. Like, don't come in our fucking house and try to do that shit. I want them to be putting teams in positions where we're up 25 and there's a handshake. And if they decide to try to come back, we really fuck them up. Like, that's what I want to happen at home. Away, I just want to win the games. At home, it's like, listen, we're up 20. It's the third quarter. Nobody has to get hurt. Nobody has to twist an ankle. Let's just get this game out. Thanks for coming. I hope you enjoy the concession stands. Have a nice walk around Yawkey Way, around the corner. Enjoy the sights. Go to the top of the Prudential building. Have a nice dinner on the north end. I hope you enjoyed your fucking visit to Boston. If you don't want to do that, if you want to try to come back with this 20-point lead, if you want to set a hard screen, or you want to fucking dunk the basketball aggressively or whatever, cool. Well, let us lace up our fucking shoes then. Like, no problem. You're now losing by 50. Like, have a nice rest of your fucking night. You don't get to go to the Prudential Center. You're ordering Domino's. Like, it's like, I want that to be the attitude in a perfect world. So,
so perfect example, and I hope Sam Cassell brings up the story. I don't know if he was on the team all this time, but I remember the year that they won the championship in '08. The Houston Rockets had been on a insane winning streak. They had won 22 in a row. And Yao and T-Mac were just doing what they should have done when healthy, which is, run through everybody. because they were that talented. People forget, but that's like, revisionist history, but they were really good. And, it was part of the Texas Triangle. We had beat Dallas, Sam could tell you, oh yeah, he was on the team. Just hit that big shot against San Antonio. And Houston was the end of that road trip. And everyone was like, man, this is the real test. Like, can they complete the Texas Triangle? And they beat them by 20, I think, but at least I want to say 22, but it might be more than that. But I know it was at least 20 points. And I'll never forget that pick and roll with KG and Paul.
Yeah.
And he threw it to KG, and KG dunked it down the middle. You had Kevin Harlan saying, right between the eyes, Kevin Garnett. Like, so that, and it was just like, and to hear the pain in T-Mac's voice after the game saying, like, like what y'all want to do? Like, we won 22. Like, he did not sound like someone that just won 22 or last 23.
Right.
He sounded like
dejected.
Like,
I remember that game so clearly.
We don't have a shot against them.
There's still a highlight if you go and look at Kevin Garnett. If you like YouTube Kevin Garnett like trash talking highlights, there's still a highlight from that game where you're just listening to the regular broadcast on like TNT or wherever it is, and there's a kind of a scramble underneath the basket, and I think it might have been Tracy McGrady like put up kind of a weak layup, and Kevin Garnett smacks it, and on the broadcast, like nobody's mic'd up or anything, you just hear him go, "Get that shit out of here!" And you're just like, "Oh fuck!" And it's just like, "Oh okay," and like you can actually see the Rockets team be like, "Oh fuck, okay, dude, fuck, man." And it's like, yeah, obviously, like Kevin Garnett was like a Hall of Fame trash talker, but like in those moments, those are the moments that you like. If you're Sam Cassell, you're looking back on and be like, these are the moments that defined us as a team. And I think that I agree with you. I'm not putting too much on him to expect him, I think, to bring a guy who knows how to win championships to this thing. And those situations, we got to complete the Texas Triangle. Like, let's go on this West Coast road trip and do good. Let's make sure that these guys coming into our house get beat. Let's go down and fucking make sure that every human being in Philadelphia knows that they are Boston's little fucking brother. Like, all this stuff adds up to a successful regular season, more so than like the amount of wins and losses. It's the quality of wins and losses, I think. And I think we're on the same page there. But I want 62 wins, and I want 62 great wins. 62 solid wins.
Yeah. There's even so one last point on the coaches out before. I mean, can you just make your predictions? So I'll make mine for as wins, and then we can close out. But it cannot be overstated, however you want to say. Like, it cannot be mentioned enough that there was not a coach on the staff last year that had championship experience.
We're really
as a player. No, I'm saying, but as a player or a coach, right? Never happened. So when I removed the veil of anger, and I look back at that, there was nobody in that room that could say, "Hey, I've been there. I've done it. I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen X, Y, and Z." Like, to follow, listen to what I'm saying to you, because if you do X, Y, and Z, we're gonna at least be in the finals. Once again, there's never a guarantee to win, but you're at least gonna be in the finals. So I can't say that enough, that getting Cassell, getting Charles Lee, who I think, like I said, is gonna help Rob and Al and the rest of the big men, tremendously. I just think that can't be mentioned enough, that not having guys around Joe, and even the guys that were around him, the Hardys and David Stoudemire, they left. So it's like whatever brain trust that was there that was helping him make decisions behind the scenes, they were gone by March. So that matters. Yes, it falls on him eventually because you're the head coach, but it's like, you're only as good as the people behind you. And I'm hoping that gets rectified and we see a major difference, because once again, I think that there was moments that shined through, but it just wasn't consistent enough. So that would be my final point on that. But far as an early prediction, I'll go 2 wins lower than what you said. I'm okay with 16 and 22. I just want healthy basketball. I want good team basketball. I want a better home record. Once again, I trust them on the road. We've seen in the playoffs the last 2 years, whenever they need to get one on the road, they could do it. Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's Tatum, doesn't matter if it's Brown, like, it doesn't matter who it is, it's going to step up. Someone's going to get one on the road for them to bring it back to Boston. I don't fear that anymore. So I fear them being at home and just resting on, it's the CD Garden, so we're good. The only game I feel like that wasn't the case was Game 7 2 years ago against the Bucks, and then Game 7 this past season against Philadelphia, which once again to be there for both, the atmosphere was crazy, and once again there's no. I've been down to. I went to the playoffs when LeBron was down there in Miami, and that crowd was great for the playoffs. For playoffs, they're not great at regular season, but in the postseason they were great. American, I don't know, FTX Arena, whatever it's called now, but I know it's American Airlines. American Airlines Arena doesn't come close to what TD Garden is when the Celtics are rocking. So, to me, I don't know, call me crazy. I don't want that all the fucking time. So just do what you can to ensure that we see good winning basketball. Because once again, you're capable. Now we just got to get the mental to match the physical, and the skill set as a whole. So, it should be an exciting season. I'm excited. I know you're excited. Bobby and Mike that's not with us, and Craig. We're all excited to see what the Celtics do. Like I said, number one thing, we just want health, and we want a good season. So, any last statements before we wrap up?
I've talked a lot of shit about Stan Van Gundy. I don't really like him as an announcer, but his wife did just pass away, so I can to the Van Gundys. I think it was unexpected, so that bummed me out when I saw. But overall, I'm excited for. I would imagine this is with the NFL season coming up. I would imagine this is one of the last times we're going to talk about basketball until probably October. Probably, unless something crazy happens or a big trade's announced or something along those lines. But I am looking forward to getting into the meat of the year and getting into the meat of the season. And I'm really looking forward to watching the Celtics play basketball. That could be, untrue after game 1 against Philadelphia. I felt like it was immediately, but it's the best time, right? It's anything can happen. So,
Yeah, that's true. And just for me, being on the lookout for, some other content we have coming out. We have our annual NFL game show, spearheaded by, the guy on the screen with me, my guy, GK Sizzle. So be on the lookout for that. There's some new wrinkles in there. So, make sure you stay tuned to how that unfolds. I think you guys are going to love it as always. You guys always
Schrodinger's game show. Maybe we record it. Maybe we don't. Who knows?
Yeah. No. Listen, we're gonna get it done. Once again, we got some issues that were out of our control. We're literally out of our control. So we're gonna make sure that we get that done so that you guys can hear all the great things we have to say for the NFL. So for DK Sizzle, I'm Hollywood Rashawn Buchanan. We thank you for listening. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace.